when the world grows quiet and the night settles like a heavy blanket around your shoulders. There are moments when the darkness feels almost alive. Moments when your footsteps echo louder than they should, when the shadows stretch deeper than your eyes can follow, when the silence seems to breathe. It is in these moments that fear awakens, raw, unfiltered, ancient fear that doesn't come from movies or ghost stories, but from something much deeper. The instinctive knowledge that the night hides things we are never meant to see. Tonight, you are about to hear 3 creepy true alone-at-night horror stories. The kind that linger long after the video ends. The kind that make you check your doors twice and look over your shoulder before turning off the lights. But more than fear, these stories carry lessons carved from survival, courage, intuition, and the fragile but powerful hope that keeps us moving even when the darkness whispers otherwise. People often say, fear is weakness, but that is not true. Sometimes fear is the first breath before bravery. Sometimes fear is the teacher we never asked for but desperately needed. And sometimes, fear is the force that pushes a person to discover strength they didn't even know they had. These stories come from the mouths of people who faced nightmarish moments alone. People whose hearts pounded, whose hands trembled, whose instincts rose like a silent scream inside them. Yet, through each terrifying second, they learned something life-changing. Tonight, woven through the shadows of their experiences, you will find 8 powerful truth notes that remind you how to navigate not only the dark nights outside your window, but the dark moments inside your life. It begins with instinct, that quiet voice inside us that speaks long before danger becomes visible. Instinct is older than any fear you've ever felt, older than the buildings we hide inside, older than the roads we walk. It is survival whispered through generations, woven into our bones. When you're alone at night, instinct becomes the first sound in the silence, the first warning before reality catches up. There is a young woman whose story proves just how sharp that instinct is. She lived in a 4th-floor apartment, a space she considered safe, secure, untouched by the chaos outside. But safety can be fragile when darkness enters the picture. One night, she was sitting alone, scrolling through her phone, calm, comfortable, unaware. Then suddenly she felt that heaviness in the chest, that strange shift in the air, that feeling of being watched even though she was alone. At first, she ignored it, convincing herself it was silly anxiety. Yet instinct doesn't whisper without reason. Minutes later, she heard the softest footsteps. On her balcony, 4 floors up. Logic said it couldn't be true, but instinct screamed at her, urging her to move. She listened, she turned off her lights, crawled silently to the neighbor's door, and knocked. Her neighbor opened just as a man climbed onto her balcony, forcing her sliding door with a crowbar. He had scaled the entire building using drainage pipes. Instinct saved her life. When you feel something is wrong, even if everything looks normal, trust that inner voice. It might be sensing danger your eyes cannot yet see. Darkness, as terrifying as it is, can also reveal something profound. Some people find their inner light in the places where hope should not survive. A truck driver once said that the loneliest road is the one you drive after midnight, when the sky is empty and the earth feels abandoned. He was traveling through Balochistan, surrounded by vast stretches of land where not even the wind dared to speak. As he drove deeper into the night, his headlights illuminated a shape standing perfectly still in the middle of the road. For a moment, he froze, his heart pounding against his ribs like it wanted to escape. Fear wrapped around him, threatening to suffocate his courage. But he remembered something his father used to say: "When the night grows darker, be the light no one else can be." So he held on to those words. Instead of panicking, he slowed down, honked gently, and the figure, whatever or whoever it was, slipped silently into the brush. He continued driving, shaken but stronger. Sometimes the darkness doesn't swallow you. Sometimes it reveals the strength you forgot you had. Silence is another teacher that appears only at night. It can terrify you, confuse you, make your imagination run wild. But it can also show you truths you wouldn't see otherwise. A college student who stayed in her dorm during winter break experienced this firsthand. Every night, she would hear tapping near her window, soft, rhythmic, persistent. Fear consumed her until she could barely study, barely sleep, barely breathe, without expecting the tapping to return. She thought it was someone trying to break in, or something paranormal watching her. Finally, she gathered the courage to report it. And what they discovered shocked her. The source was a trapped bird, injured and trying to climb out. Sometimes the thing you fear in silence is not a monster, not a threat, but a misunderstanding. Silence is not always danger. Sometimes silence is clarity waiting to be uncovered. Being alone at night forces you to rely on your own strength, and that strength often emerges in ways you don't expect. There was a man living in a mountainside cabin, miles away from neighbors. One night, someone tried opening his door at 2 a.m. Instead of panicking, he remained still, calm, alert. He grabbed a flashlight and waited, breathing slow to keep his mind steady. When he finally opened the door, he didn't find a threat. He found a hiker cold, weak, and moments away from collapsing. In that moment, his strength didn't just protect him, it protected someone else. Sometimes being alone doesn't make you vulnerable. Sometimes being alone makes you powerful. Fear itself is not the enemy. Fear is proof that you still want to live. A woman walking home alone one night noticed someone behind her. Fear gripped her so tightly she felt like her legs were made of stone. But fear also pushed her into action. It made her hyper-aware of every light, every alley, every escape route. It made her run toward a nearby shop still open late. She hid inside while the workers locked the doors. Later, CCTV revealed the man following her had been closing the distance fast, his intentions clear. Fear didn't weaken her, saved her. And sometimes, even in the darkest moments when you believe you are utterly alone, help appears in unexpected forms. A teenage boy riding his bicycle home late was suddenly surrounded by aggressive stray dogs. Panic surged through him. He had nowhere to go. But out of nowhere, a shopkeeper, who had been sleeping inside, heard the commotion, opened his shutter, and shouted loudly until the dogs scattered. A stranger's voice, a stranger's presence, became a shield in the night. Even in your darkest hour, someone, somewhere, may still choose to protect you. Not every shadow is a threat, though your heart may insist it is. A young boy living in his family's farmhouse would see a shadow move across his room every night. Terrified, he hid under his blanket until dawn. Months later, he discovered the truth. A loose curtain moved whenever the wind slipped through a hidden vent. The shadow he feared was nothing more than fabric and air. Life is full of shadows, doubts, insecurities, worries that grow bigger in the dark. But behind every shadow is a truth waiting to be revealed. And through all the fear, all the trembling moments, all the loneliness that wraps around your nights like a cold fog, there is faith. Faith that holds you steady when your hands shake. Faith that whispers hope when your breath catches. Faith that reminds you that no matter how dark the night becomes, dawn will always return. A traveler once felt watched as he sat stranded at a deserted rest stop in the dead of night. He stayed inside his locked car, whispering prayers, clinging to faith like a lifeline. In the morning, he found large animal footprints circling his vehicle. His faith did not change the danger around him, but it kept him calm, anchored, protected until morning came. Even when you feel completely alone at night, when the shadows stretch long and the silence grows heavy, remember that your instincts are powerful, your courage is real, your fears are signals, and your faith is a shield. There is strength inside you, strength that rises when the world grows quiet, strength that awakens in the darkness, strength that leads you safely through the unknown. May fear sharpen your senses, may courage fill your heart, and may God's protection surround you in every silent, lonely night you face. Ya Allah, keep us safe in the hours when the world sleeps, guard our footsteps when we walk alone, calm our hearts when fear tries to rise, and place your light between us and all harm. Ameen.